evening. This is a horrific day for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Our hearts ache over the senseless violence that has been inflicted upon the Virginia Beach community today. My deepest condolences and prayers go to the families of those who left home this morning and will not return tonight. They were all someone's child, and many were someone's parent. They were heading into the summer weekend. That they should be taken in this manner is the worst kind of tragedy. Their families are facing painful loss and grief. They each leave a hole in a family, in their neighborhood, in this community, and in our Commonwealth. We mourn with their loved ones, but sympathy doesn't fill that hole. We must take care of these families. These horrific tragedies test our souls. Grief doesn't pass quickly. It lasts far beyond these coming days, and these families will need support in the months and years to come. I'm also praying for those who were injured in this tragedy and hoping for their full recovery. Along with the pain of their own injuries, they face the loss of their co-workers and their friends. I want to commend the local and state law enforcement officers, the first responders, the medical teams, and all others who acted swiftly to respond to this situation. Their actions likely saved lives, and they have experienced scenes and injuries no one should ever have to face. My thoughts continue to be with the victims and their families. To them and to the city of Virginia Beach, I offer the full support of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Tonight, we are all about Virginia Beach. I'd now like to turn the podium over to our mayor of Virginia Beach, Mayor Dyer.
Today is Virginia Beach's darkest hour. A senseless crime happened and imposed tremendous grief upon the people of Virginia Beach, the Commonwealth, and this country. When we get through the shock of it all, and we get through the details that we must go through over the next day or two, I believe that our community, Virginia Beach, along with our neighbors and our other cities in Hampton Roads and our Commonwealth and our country, will be there for not only the families, because that's when they're going to need us going forward, but we're going to show that Virginia Beach is a city of resolve and dedication. And, we are going to be there for all the families, the friends, and our community in a big way. And for that, I thank you, and I would like to turn this over to Chief Sabera for an update.
As I said earlier this evening, as we are able to gather more information, we will give that information out. So this is the additional information that I have at this time. Again, it will probably change a little, and it may increase as we move forward as we're investigating this case. Right now, we have a team of investigators, detectives from the city of Virginia Beach, being assisted by forensic technicians from the FBI and the state police in processing this most horrific scene. We are in the process of identifying the victims and making notification to their families. I can tell you that we do have an additional victim to report. We now have 12. One victim succumbed to to the injuries on the way to the hospital. We also have 4 additional victims being treated at area hospitals, and we have reports that others may have self-transported. So as we get more information on that, we will begin to release it. Our process is always to notify family members prior to releasing names. We do know who the suspect is. We have not been successful in notifying certain family members. Once we are able to do that, we will release his name once. We're going to mention his name once, and then he will be forever referred to as the suspect, because our focus now is the dignity and respect to the victims in this case and to their families. I can tell you that when the initial call came out of an active shooter in Building 2, Building number 2 in our city houses information technology, planning, public works, and public utilities, plus a printing operation. This building has the potential of having over 400 city workers at one time or other in the building. When the original call came out, immediately 4 officers responded. 2 are seasoned veteran supervisors from the Detective Bureau, and we have 2 canine handlers who are assigned to our Special Operations Unit. They immediately made entry into the building. Due to the sound of gunfire, they were able to locate the floor in which the suspect was committing his carnage. They immediately engaged with the suspect, and I can tell you that it was a long gun battle between those 4 officers and that suspect. We've recovered a .45 caliber handgun with multiple extended magazines that were emptied at the time. The suspect was reloading extended magazines in that handgun, firing at victims throughout the building and at our officers. I want you to know that during this gun battle, basically the officers stopped this individual from committing more carnage in that building. When the suspect went down due to his injuries, our officers then immediately rendered first aid as they were removing him from the building to the waiting EMS personnel. And I need to say that a second time. Even though he was involved in a long-term moving gun battle with these officers, when he went down, they did what cops do, and they rendered first aid to this individual. He succumbed to his wound. We have found victims on all 3 floors of the building, as well as one victim who was outside in a vehicle. Right now, as many as 90 people have sought support from the Family Assistance Center. And again, we are in the process. Our goal now is to identify everyone in that building as quick as we can so we can make the proper notifications to the families of those victims. Do we have any questions?
Chief, you were saying outside. What was the relation to the victim outside?
That was
I mean, not the relation, but what you said it was a vehicle. I just wanted to clarify.
an individual was in his vehicle when the suspect shot him.
Chief, there were reports that this was a disgruntled employee. Had he been recently fired? Were there any indications of any workplace trouble?
I have no information at this time as to the background of the individual, other than he's a city employee. Again, as we work through all of this, we'll be able to give more information at a later
And he
time.
was current up until his shooting.
That's correct.
Chief, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So he started shooting victims outside before entering the building?
There was one victim outside. He entered the building. He was armed with a .45 caliber handgun that had a suppressor on it.
Can you tell us more about the extended magazine?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us more about the magazine?
They're extended magazines. In other words, they have more ammunition than the regular magazine.
Quick apologies, Chief, in terms of the numbers. 12 people were killed, and then the gunman was the 13th person who was killed. Is that the number?
We have 12 victims
Victims.
and a deceased suspect.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, were any of the victims targeted, or was all of this random?
At this time, I can't comment on that as we work through the investigation.
Do we know if all victims were city employees?
I cannot give you that because we are in the process of identifying the victims. Yes, Joe?
The numbers have changed a little bit. I just want to make sure we're straight.
Well, I originally reported we had 11 victims. We have an additional. One victim did not succumb to the wounds on the way to the hospital or at the hospital. And I am told that we have 4 others at the hospital right now going through surgeries.
So my math brings that to 9.
Well, your math would say that we have 12 deceased.
Yes, sir, actually. So I apologize, I just don't want to make an error, but before you said that there were 6 injured?
Injured.
I did. And again, that was the information that I had at that time. It's been updated.
So now it's 10 injured.
No. We have 12 deceased.
6 injured succumbed.
Right, we have 12 deceased, and we have 4 who are injured,
Who are currently,
going through, yes, going through surgery.
Chief, have police had the opportunity to search the shooter's home? And have they found anything that's been of interest,
We're
like
in-
additional weapons?
We're in the process of continuing our investigation at this time,
Were any other weapons found at the scene? There were reports that there was a rifle there as well.
and we're in the process of continuing. That's the best I'm gonna be able to tell you at this moment.
Chief, can you elaborate more on the extensive gun battle between the officers and the shooter?
I can tell you that there was numerous shots fired by the individual. Shots were fired from various places down the hallway that the officers at one time returned. Basically, the ammunition that they had. So when we talk about this kind of a situation, and many times when we talk about an officer-involved shooting situation, it may be minimal rounds by the suspect and by the police officers. This was well beyond that. This was a long-term, but the best I could describe it, is it was a long-term gun battle for police officers.
Can you put into the timeline how long?
I can't. I can't give you seconds and minutes because we don't have a stopwatch when we're engaged in this.
do you know the time of the suspect's death?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what time the suspect died?
Shortly after we entered the building and confronted him. So the call came out at right after 4 p.m., so it will be somewhere after that. We don't have the exact time right now.
Can you tell us about security around these government buildings? How many police there are normally there, and are people allowed to enter these buildings with weapons?
The individual in question is an employee. He has access to the building. He came in with a weapon today.
So he would not have been checked, or?
No, he would not have been.
Was any of the officers injured?
One officer did sustain a wound during the gun battle. Fortunately, his bulletproof vest basically saved his life. And he was attended to at the scene, but then we then brought him to the hospital afterwards to make sure that everything was okay with the officer.
Chief, when you say suppressor, is that a silencer, is that the same thing?
It's a suppressor, it's a sound suppressor.
Was the gun recovered legally obtained?
We're working through ATF at this time. It's part of our investigation.
And the police, as your department recently, I know in the past you have prepared for a scenario like this. I mean, how recently was the last time you prepared for this?
We train continuously. We train not only as first responders for police, but we train with fire, and we train with our EMS personnel, because we know that when you have a major scene like this, you're going to need all first responders into that particular area. So we do train extensively, both on what we call tabletop exercises as well as an all-hands-on exercise in a building. So I can tell you that we do train extensively, and how many weeks or months prior, I can't give you the exact number. But our officers and our EMS personnel and our fire personnel are highly qualified, unfortunately, in a situation of an active shooter case.
So Chief, there were, of the 4 officers who entered, 2 were detectives and 2 were members of
Of
K-9?
K-9, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just one final thing, and I've said it before, and you heard the governor and the mayor speak of it. We have numerous victims, and we have numerous families. Let's make sure that we keep their dignity and their respect as the number one piece of news that we're going to give out, and I know that our local media always abides by, because their lives are changed forever. The folks who work in that building, their lives are changed. I have a number of officers right now who are processing through what best could be described as a war zone. Their lives are going to be changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Can I ask a quick question of Manager Hanson? Are any, because of this involving city employees, are any city services going to be affected by all of this? I mean, obviously, every one of your employees has to be breathing. Just, I know something work's got to go on, but how's that being handled?
We're working through that.
We'll have more information for you tomorrow. We will be back here tomorrow for a board meeting.
Time.